The Phantom Cowboy by Jesse Leon McCann, illustrated by Duendes del Sur. Yee-haw! Shaggy shouted. He and his friends from Mystery Inc. had just arrived at Phantom Gulch, a real-life western ghost town. But when they walked in, they saw that everyone was leaving. Sorry, folks, said the town sheriff. Some kind of phantom cowboy has been chasing people out of town. He won't leave us alone, and he scared off all our visitors. You can't have a tourist attraction without tourists. Because of the ghost, the owners of the town had closed down Phantom Gulch and sold the land to a neighboring rancher. Come on, gang, let's see if we can get to the bottom of this mystery, Fred suggested. First, they went to talk to the rancher. His name was Harry Parker, and he was busy trying to train one of his horses. Shucks, kid, those ghosts are mighty fearsome creatures, Mr. Parker exclaimed. If I was you, I'd vamoose before they come back again. Despite Mr. Parker's advice, the kids wanted to investigate. The boys decided to check out the saloon. Fred and Scooby looked around the restaurant while Shaggy went upstairs to see if somebody had left a clue in one of the boarding rooms. Suddenly, the Phantom Cowboy came charging down the staircase riding his buffalo. Zoinks! It's the ghost! Run! Shaggy cried. He ran down the stairs as fast as he could. The Phantom Cowboy spun a lasso over his head. He was trying to rope Shaggy in. Run, Raggy, run! Scooby hollered. The group rushed outside, past a shocked Velma and Daphne. After a few tries, the Phantom Cowboy caught Shaggy with his lasso. Like, help! Cried Shaggy as the cowboy's buffalo pulled him away from his friends. Fred and Scooby-Doo raced behind the Phantom Cowboy, trying to rescue Shaggy, but the buffalo was fast. The cowboy turned and pointed at the rest of the gang. Leave here now, he called in a booming voice, or I'll come back and get y'all. Scooby was determined to save his best friend. It didn't take long for him to catch Shaggy's scent. He bounded down the street and quickly found a clue: Shaggy's peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This way, he exclaimed. The gang cautiously followed Scooby to an old bakery and a tailor shop. If Shaggy was inside one of them, then the ghost would be nearby too. We'll look in the tailor's, Daphne said. You boys check out the bakery. She and Velma tiptoed into the dark shop. Velma struck a match. In the sudden light, Daphne and Velma saw that they were surrounded by strange figures. Jinkies, Velma cried. Then they saw that the strangers were just mannequins. Whew! At the same time, Scooby-Doo and Fred were searching the bakery for any sign of Shaggy. Fred checked the back room while Scooby sniffed the floor near the oven. All the flour and baking powder made him sneeze. Just as Scooby sneezed, a big sack of flour jumped. Frowning, Scooby untied the top and Shaggy popped out. The gang regrouped outside. Now that everyone is back, let's find those ghosts, Fred said, but the ghosts found them. Out of the darkness emerged the scary rider on his fearsome buffalo. The kids barely had time to run as he barreled toward them. The ghost didn't let up until they chased the kids all the way back to the mystery machine. When he thought he had finally scared them away, the cowboy reared up on his buffalo and rode off. But Fred and the girls weren't about to give up so easily. There's got to be a logical explanation for this Phantom Cowboy mystery, Velma exclaimed. The only way we'll get to the bottom of this is by catching that ghost, and I've got an idea how we can do it, Fred declared. He looked at Shaggy and Scooby. Of course, we'll need some bait. After lots of Scooby snacks, Shaggy and Scooby agreed to help catch the ghost. Velma and Daphne took them back to the tailor shop and dressed them like Old West lawmen. While Fred and the girls went to set up the trap, Shaggy and Scooby found the cowboy in the desert outside town. Deputy Scoobert, Shaggy said in his best cowboy voice, a couple of mangy varmints have a roast without a campfire permit. The Phantom Cowboy and his buffalo growled angrily at Shaggy and Scooby. Run, Scooby, run! Shaggy shouted, taking off, with the Phantom Cowboy and the buffalo following close behind. The pair flew through the desert, over brambles, and around big boulders. They started climbing a small hill nearby. The ghost stayed right with them, and Shaggy and Scooby were quickly running out of steam. Soon, Scooby and Shaggy reached the edge of the hill. They were trapped. The Phantom Cowboy laughed with evil delight. I told you all to vamoose from these here parts, he said with a grin. Now it's too late. Just as the cowboy was about to nab Shaggy and Scooby, the two ghost villains fell through a hole in the ground and into a big net. It was Fred's trap. They had dug a hole and camouflaged it with weeds and grass. Now let's see who is behind this mystery, Fred said, pulling the mask off the captured Phantom Cowboy. It was Mr. Parker. He scared away all the people in the Phantom Gulch so he could buy the property for a cheap price, Velma explained as the state troopers took Mr. Parker away. He was going to sell the town for a huge profit to a big company. "I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids," Mr. Parker sneered. The town was returned to its rightful owners, and soon visitors started coming back. "You kids are real Western heroes," the sheriff said. "It's easy with a partner like Scooby Doo," Shaggy exclaimed. "Welcome to Phantom Gulch. Grand reopening." And our next story will be Werewolf Watch.